If you haven't already, I know I say this every single time, hit the subscribe button for me because we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers and Chelsea are doing good right now. So if the YouTube channel can do well as well, then everyone's a flipping winner. All right then, it's been a few days, I'm back. Yes guys, welcome back to the George Benson Football Channel. Welcome to 6 things that we learned from Chelsea 4, Everton 0. Not only is it another clean sheet at Stamford Bridge, 3 points, a big 3 points with Manchester United winning the Manchester Derby, they're breathing down our necks now relatively heavily. And what do Chelsea need to do? We need to keep on winning games. Spurs drew away at Burnley. They're starting to crumble away a little bit. Chelsea have got a job to do, and we did the best job that we've done all flipping season in the game yesterday. It was a brilliant performance from Chelsea, and it was a very bold move from Frank Lampard to stick with Billy Gilmour in the middle. You've got Ross Barkley in there, you've got Mason Mount, you've got Williams, Giroud, Pedro. Some of these players a few weeks ago we thought were done. We thought that we wouldn't see them in Chelsea shirts again. All of a sudden, this team, 2 very good home results, 2 clean sheets, it's looking good again. And speaking of players that had a very good game yet again, I think the majority of pundits and the majority of people in the footballing world would give Billy Gilmour the man of the match. But I gave him the first box in the video after the game against Liverpool in the Cup, so I thought I would give Ross Barkley the box in this one. It's the first box, which is usually the man of the match performance kind of box. What we're seeing from Ross is, again, I said the same thing in the previous video. It's everything that we thought we were going to get when we got this bargain signing from Everton, who can pull things out the bag, who's got a good passing range, who's in the right places, in the right pockets of space around the area. Ross Barkley, 2 assists again yesterday, and he's playing with confidence now. He's playing with a bit of swagger that we've always known he's had, that he's just not shown in the blue of Chelsea. And yesterday, against Everton, his former club, in the pink shirt, which is an interesting looking football kit to say the least, I thought Ross Barkley was absolutely excellent, and Chelsea did very, very well yesterday. But not just Ross, we have to in the same breath talk about yet another man of the match performance from Billy Gilmour. If you read anything that any pundit in the know has said, even Roy Keane, who, I mean, it's pretty difficult to impress Roy Keane. He's not the, let's just say he's not the happiest man in the footballing stratosphere, but the praise that he gave to Billy Gilmour yesterday as well, and what Frank was saying after the game as well about Billy being on his own little level, and when it comes down to it, about how we measure a player's quality in his career, Billy Gilmour is being likened to Xavi, Iniesta. People are saying that actually Andrea Pirlo is the Italian Billy Gilmour. The praise coming in for Billy right now is excellent, and I don't think any of it is overhype. I don't think any of it is looking at one decent half of football. 4 halves of football that Billy Gilmour has looked absolutely in control of the entire midfield. We look at Jorginho, dips in form here, dips in form there, sometimes mistakes being made. I know that Billy's not had anywhere near as many minutes of the data points that we have to compare, say, a Jorginho, a Kante, a Kovacic to Billy Gilmour. The data points are very much a lot smaller sample size for Billy, and because he's had 2 very good performances, there is going to be an element of bias at the moment about Chelsea fans bigging up Billy Gilmour, thinking, you know what, we can sell Kante now because we've got Billy Gilmour. We can sell Jorginho now because we've got Billy Gilmour. I'm not going to entertain that at this moment in time, but what I will say, considering the number of injuries that Chelsea have, you could argue that our 4 best central midfielders are actually out right now, all injured. You've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, all of which couldn't play yesterday due to injury. The fact that it's Mason Mount, Ross Barkley, and Billy Gilmour playing in that mid 3, it just shows how much strength is in this Chelsea team. Yes, we may have been incredibly inconsistent this season. Yes, there's been times, particularly at home, where we've been played off the park by sides that like to come and play football. Everton yesterday, we did not give them a single sniff, and I think a lot of that is down to the first 2 players that we've put in these first 2 boxes, both Ross Barkley and Billy Gilmour controlling the midfield 3 for Chelsea. So we move into box number 3, and again, I mentioned his name earlier, a bloke who I thought was going to leave. I thought he was going to do the whole round of the London clubs and sign for flipping Spurs. Chelsea blocked the move when Spurs lost Harry Kane to injury. Olivier Giroud was potentially going to go all the way to our rivals. What does he bring? Other than, again, he scored another goal yesterday. It was the 4th goal. It wasn't the most decisive goal, but we've seen him score a few now since he's come back into the team. The one thing for me that I think Olivier Giroud does, as well as, I'm going to go as far as to say any player in the Premier League, it's how he actually connects the play between the midfielders, the attacking midfielders, the wingers, and himself as a striker. He's always in the box looking to score goals. He can score with his head, he can score with his right, as he did yesterday. He can score with his left, an absolute banger from out of nowhere. So you always know that he's got that in his locker. Yesterday's goal, yes, it was a tap-in, but he did well to stay on side, and he's ghosting into the box. 4-0, 3-0 was wrapped up, 4-0 was the little bow on the top. And I want to say that Olivier Giroud, despite looking like a lost cause at Chelsea Football Club, not getting a sniff because Batshuayi was getting in ahead of him when Tammy first got injured, his professionalism, and I've said this so many times in recent weeks, his professionalism is something that Tammy needs to be looking up to. Yes, there is this thing right now where Tammy's declined a new contract, but a lot of that's down to the agent because the agents know Chelsea want to keep him, and there will be an improved offer as a result of declining the current offer for Tammy Abraham to sign a new Chelsea deal. Tammy needs to be looking at Olivier Giroud, where he might not be getting the minutes that he wants, but frustration, if it did build, it was built internally and it was dealt with by Olivier Giroud as a professional footballer. Tammy needs to be looking up to this. I'm not going to sit here and bash Tammy because, again, we're talking about the one striker who was on the field who started the game yesterday, who did very well for Chelsea. This is about Olivier Giroud. I don't think there's many role models in world football as strikers that Tammy could be looking up to is any better right now than Olivier Giroud. He's won the World Cup for France, won the Europa League pretty much for Chelsea last season, and yet again, he delivered for us yesterday. So moving into box number 4, again, it's the man who likes to split opinion, but for me, there's never really been a split opinion about it. The way that Mason Mount took that first goal yesterday, set the game up for Chelsea. Beautiful ball in again from Pedro, who was absolutely extraordinary once more. Mason takes a touch, and it is a beautiful finish into the bottom corner. Drills it in hard. There was a chance a few minutes before where he actually could have scored again, but it wasn't for a very good save from Jordan Pickford. Mason Mount has looked as though he's got his energy back. He looks as though finally again, he's starting to recreate some of that early season form that actually put him into the conversations of people of being one of Chelsea's brightest sparks. And then form kind of dipped a little bit. There was inconsistent periods. It did look as though the intensity of the Premier League and the amount of matches that he was playing had probably got the better of him for a while after playing for England as well. Like the international break wasn't really helpful. Mason Mount on the score sheet again yesterday was playing some lovely little passes as well, always running around. And there's something about that midfield three. It doesn't, in my head, seem to work, but with Barkley, Gilmour and Mason in the same side, I think we actually get to see the best out of all three of those individuals because they all offer something different and all bring something new to the game. So box number 5, again, 6 green boxes. Isn't this like a great feeling? Like, we're actually doing all right. We've won 2 games in a row and I'm sat here with a smile on my face again. I'm putting both Pedro and Willian in their own box. And it's not because they don't deserve their own, or it's not because I ran out of things to say. Willian and Pedro, they're 2 players who are likely to be leaving the club. Willian wants a longer contract than what Chelsea have offered him. Will Pedro be assured of game time next season when Hakim Ziyech comes into the side? Probably not. But what I will say, above all else, is that Willian is as proper Chelsea as anyone in this football club right now. Willian loves Chelsea Football Club. He doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay for as long as possible. And yet again, a great finish from him yesterday. Good assist as well for Mason Mount's goal. Willian is delivering what we've always wanted him to do, goals and assists. And he seems to be playing very well as well. As for Pedro, energy. Like, what's going on? Like, where did this come from again from Pedro? We've seen him have brilliant performances. Well, both Pedro and Willian have put in some great shifts against Everton in the past. But yesterday, it was almost like they were back to their best again. They're back to their best energy, back to their best decisiveness, finishing as well. Pedro's goal, we saw him with that one-on-one against Liverpool. Good save from the Liverpool goalkeeper, but he scored the one yesterday to make it 2-0 to Chelsea, and that really did put us in the driving seat. A nice 1-0 in the first 15 minutes with Mason Mount's goal. That's pretty good. Sealing the game with a second straight after. Clinical from Pedro, brilliant finishes from the both of them yesterday, and they deserve to have their own box. And box number 6, going to wrap up this video with a little bit of genuine optimism about the Chelsea fans. Yesterday, when I was watching it, all we could hear was Stamford Bridge at its very best again. There's been times this season where the performance has been flat and it kind of transpires into a flat performance from the fans as well. What we saw against Liverpool, and we saw it again yesterday against Everton, is despite being like a few little cult weirdos on social media who are like, oh, Frank's a loser, he's not a very good man. We're all backing the manager. We all understand that injuries have hit us in abundance this season. We've not had our strongest team at any stage available to us, yet we're still in 4th place in the table. Frank Lampard has changed formations here, he's changed formations there. It shows that he's not like some of the managers in the past who, despite Antonio Conte being one of my favourite Chelsea managers, it was either his way or the highway. And it was a similar thing with Maurizio Sarri, whereas with Frank, he understands that injuries happen. Sometimes you need to tailor the tactical approach in order to benefit those that are actually available for you. I also think, if Frank was to be very honest, he would probably say that he did want to bring in players in January to actually improve the playing personnel. But what seems to be happening, look at all of these players in all the other boxes on the screen. Some of these players are players that we didn't even think were going to either feature this season at all, or that we thought were absolutely done. And the way that Frank has managed to galvanise everyone together, bringing it back to the whole fans and expectations thing. The defeat at home to Bayern Munich was a very humbling one. It was one where we were played off the park in every single department, but we didn't give up. We did have chances in that game. And yes, we get to go to Bayern away and probably not going to go through. Let's just be real. But what seems to have happened since that result, with the win against Liverpool, the win against Everton, those two matches in particular for me have really shown not only that Frank isn't scared to make bold choices, but he's also not scared to change the formation on a game-by-game basis dependent on who is available to him. Now, I've not really mentioned the goalkeeper. I've not really mentioned any defenders in this video because for once this season, Chelsea were clinical. 17 shots, 11 of which on target, 60% possession. We've had so many chances this season, we've not finished enough, and that's why we've not won games, particularly at Stamford Bridge. But yesterday, we were clinical, we looked very, very good. We're playing some beautiful free-flowing football, and I believe a lot of that is down to the 6 players, or the 5 players, 1, 2, 3, 6 players that we put in the boxes today. We don't talk about the defence because for once, we were so good going forward, and I cannot stress to you enough how beautiful it is to watch when we can actually finish our flipping dinner. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Chelsea versus Everton, 4-0, 6 things that we learned here on the George Benson Football Channel. If you haven't already, I know I say this every single time, hit the subscribe button for me because we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, and Chelsea are doing good right now. So if the YouTube channel can do well as well, then everyone's a flipping winner. We can party more often. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I love you all. See you all later. Bye-bye.